Dear connections, today we will discuss about one more Power BI interview question, that is, what are the differences between calculated columns and measures. So let's jump into our Power BI to create a sample calculated column and a DAX measure. So here, as you can see, I imported a sample dataset. So let me show you the data. The data has three columns: revenue, cost, and region. So here we need to create a calculated column. So what is calculated column? Let's discuss the definition. Calculated column is a new column that you add to a table using a DAX formula. It calculates a value for each row in that column, just like a regular column in your dataset. Okay. So create a calculated column. I need to click on add column. Then I will click on custom column. If you want, you can use conditional column also if it is a conditional column. But here the requirement is different. Here basically I want to create a profit column. So what is profit? Profit is basically the subtraction of revenue and cost. Subtraction of revenue and cost. So see, a new profit column came just like other columns. Okay, so now save it, close and apply. And after this we will create a measure. And what is measure? A measure is an aggregation that is calculated on demand based on the context of the report, such as filters, slicers, rows, or columns in tables. So let's say we got a requirement from our client that we need to create a measure for like the measure will be like total revenue for all east region. Like we already see the data. Like let me show you the data once again. We have a region column. In the region column there are various locations like east, west, south, and there is a requirement came from client that see, in the region column there are various region like east, west, south. So we need to make a total revenue of these east columns. Okay, so create this measure. We need to click on any field name, then click on new measure. Then we need to give a meaningful name like sum of revenue underscore east. Then we need to, here we need to use calculate function. Okay, so sum of calculate sum of it is the revenue. So calculate sum of revenue, bracket close. Now we need to give the filter for east region. So give the filter for east region. We need to select the region column. Then we need to type the word east. Now we need to close the parenthesis. Now commit. So after committing this, you will see a new measure came. So this is the measure. We will also verify the measure by a KPI. Let's say we are taking this KPI and it will be based on our sum of revenue. So now let's check the revenue. So let me open the Excel sheet to make it faster. So this is the sample dataset I imported. Then we already know that if we click on all the columns of East, like if we select all the East region revenues, we will get that sum. So what is the sum? Sum is 28,630. Now let's jump into our Power BI. Okay, yeah, this is okay because it was 28,000 something, so it is basically showing the aggregated value, like it is close to 29k. So that means the calculation is fine. And there are some other differences also, like the context. Let's say for the there are some context difference also, like for calculated column. Uh, Calculated column operates only for the row context, meaning that means the DAX expression is evaluated for each individual row in the table. Like if you go to our table view, you all can visualize better. I create this profit calculated column, and here you saw like it was the summation of revenue and cost. Like did the summary it was basically the subtraction between revenue and cost, and we all can see that it did the subtraction in row by row, and all the subtraction results are correct. And for measure operates on filter context. That means like they are recalculated dynamically when the report users interacted with visuals. Like the measures basically are the dynamic things. Okay, like we can calculate it on the runtime. Now the third difference is storage. The result of calculated columns are stored in the model, which can increase the size of the dataset. And in case of measures do not store their result in the model. They are only calculated on runtime, so they don't increase the size of the dataset. So it is advisable to use more measures. Calculated columns sometimes may, uh, for like if you create too much calculated columns, it may cause the performance issue, like the optimization issue. It may cause. Now the fourth difference is the use case. Calculated columns best used when you need a new field to slice data, or when you need to use the result in a filter, such as categorizing data or adding derived field like year, month, etc. And for the measure, the best use for measure is that to aggregate or summarize the data like sum, average, mean, max, etc. They are ideal for dynamic calculation depending on the context of the data. Now the last point, that is recalculation. Calculated columns are static after being calculated during data refresh and remain constant until the next refresh. Measures are recalculated on the runtime based on user interaction, filters, and current report view. Like if there was any filter here, like any slicer or filter, and if we select any particular uh, particular name from that drop down of the slicer, the measure value will change. Okay, even if you can see this thing in my previous video also. So that is the thing. I hope you all have understood the this concept. Thank you. Let's meet in another video.